our live for today. So today we are talking all about 3 things to stop doing in your workouts so you can make the most use of your time. Because let's be honest, none of us just have this time to be wasting, whether you're doing home workouts or gym workouts or anything like that. So today I'm going to be breaking down some common myths that you've heard around working out, training, and letting you know that there's a better way to go about things. So as my thank you to you, I always want to make sure that I am answering any questions that you guys may have. So whether you catch me live or you are on the replay checking me out, first of all, thank you so much. And if you have anything you want me to cover, please feel free to comment down below and let me know. It is not uncommon for me to go and almost do an entire live stream. If the question I feel can warrant something like that, I will do an entire live stream just based off of a question I've received alone that you guys have left, or even kind of create some more content around that. So if you guys aren't following me already, make sure you go ahead and head on over. I am at Brit Inez Rand on Instagram, TikTok, and pretty much all social media where you guys can find me and hang out more with me there. So as you're coming on in today, I want you to really think about like some of the common things that you've heard around working out that you are just kind of like, is that true? Should I really be doing that? You might have heard things like, oh, you need to be doing more cardio, or oh, you shouldn't be lifting that much weight. Or you may have even heard people tell you that lifting is going to make you bulky. So today I'm going to be breaking down common myths that you guys have heard to let y'all know again the better way to go about doing things to get you to where you really want to be. So for those of you guys who don't know me, a quick little intro before we hop on in. I'm Brit Inez. I have been working in the fitness space for quite some time now, well over 10 years, and I help women become their own definition of body goals, okay? I've had to work to get my own mind right with this whole thing because mindset really is everything. And I also have worked with women, and myself included, who have had things like just really negative body image issues, not good relationships with food, and also just to really kind of embrace your journey where you are and learn how to love the process, right? Because I don't care if your goals are to lose 10 pounds, lose 100 pounds, compete and get on stage. You have to 100% learn to enjoy your journey along the way, because if you don't, you're not going to want to stick on into it. And if you definitely feel like you're doing all this work and in your workouts and you're not where you want to be quite yet, that can be really disheartening, and it can cause you to really just want to be like, you know what? This isn't working anyway, so why even bother? So if that's been you, kind of like let me know in the comments that, hey, you know what, that's exactly where I am right now in my own journey. Today, you're definitely going to be able to get some nuggets that are going to help you out with that. So the first thing is this. I see so many women that I talk to, whether they're new clients who are getting ready to work with me or even just people in the online space. And what I see them doing a lot is like they're just really switching things up a lot. So one of the things that can really stop you from seeing progress with your training is switching it up too often. Now, I get it. You know what I mean? No one wants to do the same workout for an entire year. You can kind of get bored. It's easy to kind of mentally check out after so long because you then begin to feel like you're just kind of going through the motions. But there's also I've seen other coaches, trainers, fitness influencers in the online space, especially on Instagram, talk about, oh, you got to confuse the muscles. So you got to switch your workout up every single week. So that way you got to trick the body into changing and things like that. Let me know if you guys have ever heard that and you were left feeling like, well, dad, well, am I doing the right thing? Or you felt like you had to find a new program to start each week because you heard this kind of thing being thrown at you as to why you're not really seeing progress. So a big thing with that is this. There is some truth to you mentally checking out, right? If you're bored with something, you're not really getting, you don't really feel like you're getting a lot of good, use out of your workout, then yeah, it could be time to switch it up. But the issue with switching up too often is you never really are able to kind of see how much strength you're gaining in any particular area. So let's just say, for example, your goals are you want to build bigger legs, right? If you are switching up your workout, right, every single week, you're never able to see how strong you're getting like in your squats. Because if your goals are to want to build muscle, right, that comes with increased strength. If you're switching it up every single week, you're not giving your body time to gain strength and gain proficiency in an area. You may have a lot of us, whenever we start a new kind of training plan, if you're doing an exercise, it takes a minute to make that mind muscle connection. So once you kind of go through, and it takes repetition for that to happen. If you only do something like one time, you're not really allowing your body time enough to adapt to what you're doing, get used to what you're doing, understand, okay, here's how I need to kind of stand for proper form, for proper posture. Here's where I need to kind of feel all these things. And now that I'm doing that, now I can increase the weight and keep adding on weight and keep adding on weight, because that's how you're going to be able to really gain strength, which is what it takes to really reshape your body and to get to the result that you want to see physically from your time in the gym. Okay. If you're switching it up too often, you're not going to be able to see how that's going to work. That's why I 100% always recommend using some kind of a training journal, some kind of a training log. There's apps that you guys can use too, just to kind of keep track of where you are with things. Because if you look up and you're realizing that you started this program in January and by April, you're still doing the exact same squats at the exact same weight, you aren't pushing yourself enough in your workout. Okay. And that's going to kind of come into my next tip that I'm going to be sharing with you guys today. So let me know if you guys have ever felt like you just weren't really getting as much out of your lifts as you can, whether you're doing at-home workouts or if you're doing like workouts in the gym. Because I see a lot of chatter around just lifting in general. And one of the biggest myths is that you shouldn't really lift too heavy, because if you do, then you're going to get bulky. Well, my whole thing is this. That's actually a mistake that you need to stop making. Because when you are, look, let me just say this. It takes a whole lot for a woman to look bulky, right? Assuming that's I'm looking at women who are checking me out right now. It takes a whole lot to get there. And even the women who you would define who have a bulky look that you don't want, it took them years, right, of lifting at a very high intensity, right? Very heavy weight, pushing their bodies. That's the one thing that they did. They also had to eat in a way where they could create an environment where their bodies could put on that kind of muscle. And three, they had to stay consistent. You're not, more than likely, 99.9% of you aren't doing steps 1 through 3 that I just outlined. So you will never be bulky, okay? And if you're one of those people who, and I also have had clients who have told me things like, oh, when I lift weights, I get bulky. Well, my question to them is, okay, well, how are you eating when you began lifting? Because what lifting does, resistance training in general, strength training, it actually helps to increase your metabolism, which is why I always tell people that if your goals are to really reshape your body, you want to tone up, tighten up, then you have to be lifting weights. Well, a part of that is your metabolism is going to increase. You're going to burn off more. So it's not uncommon to feel more hungry when you're lifting. So let me know if that's kind of been you too, if you've ever experienced that. Because if you've done that and then you are then giving in to being more hungry by eating more, yes, you're going to gain weight. And the bulky look that you're talking about is not muscle, it's fat. Because it takes a lot for you to, trust me, it takes a whole lot for you to build up enough muscle where you appear to be more bulky in that area. More than likely what happened is you were lifting, you started eating more, and just by how your body stores fat, and that's a genetic thing, you have no control over that, you began to tell yourself, oh, I feel like I'm bulking up more, when in actuality, you were just gaining fat, and where you were holding it happened to be in the areas that you feel like you were working when you were doing your lifts. So not lifting heavy enough is actually holding you back from changing, simply because if your body is not being, your muscles respond to stimulus, right? So if it gets used to that, then you're not going to change its shape. You're not going to change its size. And even if even if you're just kind of like, well, Brit, I don't want big muscles. If your goals are to tone up, toning requires you to increase lean muscle mass, right? You can only increase lean muscle mass if you have more muscle, okay? So it doesn't mean that if I lift heavy, I'm going to look bulky. If you lift heavy and you progressively force your body to lift heavier with proper form, okay, because that part has to be in place too, then you increase your chances of building more lean muscle mass, which can all actually help you to tighten up, to tone up even faster, and to have the overall shape that you guys want, okay? So just don't be shy of it. Now, yes, there are some body parts that you should be lifting heavier than others. A lot of women that I work with don't necessarily want large upper bodies, and I get that. So when it comes to like arms, like Shoulders, you can actually push some weight there because you want those to actually to have a nice shape to them. Your back muscles can take heavier weight because that's a very, very large muscle group. But it's not going to leave you looking like I've heard some women say they don't look like a bodybuilder or like an athlete that just has like an overly muscular physique. It won't leave you looking like that. Okay. But just make sure though that even if you are increasing your weights, you're doing so with good form. And that is why I am so detailed with the programs that I give my clients who work with me one-on-one, is because I want to make sure that you guys are set up for success. And so that way you're not just in the gym lifting and you're pushing the weights, but one, you're not seeing your body change because the exercises aren't really what they need to be based on your body type. And two, you're getting hurt and injured because you don't have proper form. So everything has to really tick and tie and all play in together. And if you feel like your training plan or your workout routine has been missing that, make sure you check out the description box below. I have a lot of different ways we can work together, whether it's one-on-one or in one of my other standalone programs that where you can make those things happen. All right, y'all. So I'm getting ready to share probably the biggest thing you need to stop doing in order to really get to where you want to be with your workouts, because this one thing right here is where I've seen so many people butt heads about in the fitness industry. And there's a lot of you guys out there who feel like you need to be doing this in order to get to where you want to be, but actually it can be hurting you. And here's why. Doing too much cardio can do two things. One, if you're short on time, then and you only have, let's say you only have 45 minutes a day to work out. If you spend those 45 minutes just doing cardio alone, you did nothing to work on strength training. You did nothing to help increase your lean muscle mass. So you're not going to get the overall shape that you want to get just by doing cardio. Okay. Cardio alone, you'll lose weight. Yeah. But think about how many people you've seen who have lost weight, but they just didn't have a good shape to them, or they had the appearance of being kind of like skinny fat, right? If all you do is cardio and you don't begin to prioritize strength training, that can 100% happen. All right. On the flip side of that, if your goals are to really want to build muscle and you kind of have the body type where you have a hard time building muscle anyway, and I have clients that are like this where I've told them like, hey, you're gonna have to stop doing cardio. So I have some clients who do zero cardio, like none, or they do the bare minimum of just like 30 minutes several times a week just to kind of help like heart health and things like that. Right? If you have that kind of like body type and that kind of metabolism, doing too much cardio is going to keep you where you're at. You're not going to get the shape that you want to get because your body is eating away at its muscles because of all the output that you're doing, right? And you also may not be taking in enough food, all right? But this live stream isn't about diet. I can do an entire different live stream just on that alone, because if you aren't eating enough, you 100% aren't going to see the results that you want to see, because you could be under eating, you could also be overeating. But again, that's a whole nother lie for a whole other day. But the thing here to know is that I know there are a lot of people out there, and let me know if this has ever been you or you felt like you needed to lose weight. So you're going to start doing all this cardio, right? And you prioritize that. Yeah. And you see the scale come down, but you're not seeing things kind of like take the shape that you want. Okay. That is because you need to prioritize both cardio and lifting. So I'll always tell people, like, be honest about your time. If you know that you only have an hour a day, or maybe you don't even have an hour, maybe you only have 45 minutes a day, okay, to devote towards your entire exercise period, then I would tell them, okay, well, we're gonna have to split that up, because you definitely need to be lifting, and then you need to be spending your excess time doing cardio and that you have after that, because not doing the strength training is going to keep your body not looking how you want it to look. And when you're doing workouts and you're making a time in your schedule to do it and you're not seeing the results that you want to see, it can cause you to become really unmotivated and to be like, you know what, I don't think this is all working, so let me just kind of stop this along altogether, because what's the whole point, right? And I've had clients that were there before, and one of my clients, when she started work with me, she was on a pretty good workout routine in terms of how much she was working out. Like, she was working out, I want to say 4 to 5 days a week when we first started. And when she first started reaching out to me, and she was primarily doing like 45 minutes of cardio. She was maybe doing strength training twice a week. It was like maybe an upper body day, maybe a lower body day, or core day, right? It just kind of depended on whatever she was in the mood for, or whatever was available at the gym at the time that wasn't like taken up. And when she came to me, she was just like, I feel like I look flabby and I'm not understanding why. Like, I'm doing this cardio. I'm not really eating a whole lot. Like, she was eating like a couple of salads a day. She would eat out here and there. But for the most part, she wasn't really eating a whole lot. And when we started working together, I looked at everything and I completely changed her entire workout program to where we were prioritizing strength training. We were also getting cardio in, but we were doing it in a way where she could maximize her time and get the most effect from it. And within about like 6 weeks of us working together, she looked like a completely different person. And it was because her body was starting to finally respond. And she was like, oh my gosh, I've made more progress in 6 weeks than I have in the past 6 months plus I've been doing this. That's what can happen when you finally get things where they need to be with your training etched out to you, okay? Because a lot of times we tend to feel like you can go online, you might read someone's post on Instagram that says, oh, I do 3 days of cardio, I do 2 strength training days, this is how I look. Well, you don't necessarily know like what they had to do to get to that point. That might be their maintenance-based program, right? But you don't know what they had to do to kind of get to where they're at, to where that can be what they do and look how they want to look. And if you make the mistake of just taking someone else's training plan and just applying it to you, you're assuming that, right, y'all got the exact same thing, like genetically going on, metabolically going on, and that is very rarely the case, you guys. So if you have been just really like just struggling with trying to figure all this out, make sure you check out the description box below. I have a lot of different ways that we can work together, whether we work one-on-one together, and I'm developing out a custom training plan for you to follow in addition to like your nutrition and all of that. Or if you just want to have like a workout plan that's a self-paced that you can follow on your own, I have a 21-day challenge for that. I have a build your curve challenge for that. I have a lot of different ways that you can kind of get going and get a lot more intentional about your workouts in general, okay? Because I don't want anyone here feeling like workouts don't necessarily work because you're making these mistakes that we talked about today. All right, you guys. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you guys have any questions at all around this, or you have other topic ideas you want me to cover, please feel free to comment down below. Let me know, and I'll see you guys